In just 4 days, one of the greatest fighters of our generation puts his legacy on the line as Manny Pacuiao battles undefeated world champion Keith Thurman in the can't-miss fight of the summer. Saturday at 9 Eastern, live on pay-per-view or order on the Fox Sports app.
Go to the last 2 decades. We get about one great fight a year, maybe 2. This has the makings of it. A legendary sort of Roberto Duran, Sugar Ray Leonard level fighter, like an iconic 12 years of greatness. This could be his last fight. He fights a young 29-0 undefeated Keith Thurman. This will be the best fight of the summer and probably the best fight of the year. Car shopping's confusing. A lot of terms: dealer price, list price, invoice. Here's what's not. Go to TrueCar.com. New or used car. They'll save you money, give you all the fees before you get there. So the over-unders came out in the NBA. And we've always known this. This is not a criticism of the NBA. It's a reality. It's the story league. We watch football in America. We talk about the NBA. And I'm a talk show host, so I like talking about it. It's soap operas. It's divas. I don't watch a lot of NBA regular season basketball in its entirety. I watch highlights. I watch bits and pieces of games, but I watch all NFL games, all of them. I'll watch every Dolphin game this year. I'll watch every Titan game this year. We watch football in America. The ratings prove that, but we talk about the NBA, and I'm a talk show host, so I do a lot. But I do think sometimes narratives carry the league more than reality. So the over-under win totals came out yesterday, and all these teams that like added people, their numbers flew through the roof, and you forget that chemistry is a real thing in the NBA. And also veteran players and stars, they're going to take nights off. It's the idea that you're going to improve 7, 8, 9 wins in the West. I don't know anybody that's improving that much. It's just too thick. And by the way, the Eastern Conference isn't terrible either. Toronto was 17-5 last year without Kawhi. Philadelphia is probably better. Boston, better chemistry, probably better. Milwaukee, I don't know if Milwaukee's quite as good, but their young players are getting better, so they'll be good. So those 4 teams I know are good in the East. Toronto, Milwaukee, Indiana. Indiana's a real team. Victor Oladipo comes back. So they'll be like a 47-48 win team. I have 5 good teams in the East. I think I have 8 good teams in the West. Half of the league now is viable. So the over-unders come out yesterday, and this is what's funny. So Portland now is a 44-win team. They got to the Western Conference Finals, but because they only added Hassan Whiteside, they're no good. They only have 44 wins. Brooklyn now has got 45.5. How's that work? Their best player left, D'Angelo Russell. The second best player this morning on the Brooklyn Nets is Spencer Dinwiddie. The third best player is Jaron Allen, who's playing in the Summer League. And they're better than Portland. Well, the West, the East, again, the East has 5 good teams at the top. Let's not make this the Mountain West Football Conference against the SEC. The West is better and thicker. But there's some bad teams in the West. I mean, Phoenix is in the West, and Memphis is in the West, and Minnesota and Sacramento are not great teams, and they're in the West. And, I'm looking at all these over-unders. I'm betting the under on all of them. I did the only over I saw, Golden State, which has now been reduced to a 47-win team when they're going to get Klay Thompson back in probably late January. And I'm going to get Clay and Steph and Draymond and Looney and D'Angelo Russell and Steve Kerr and a great GM. And I think they're pretty good. And by the way, Joy and I both believe D'Angelo Russell, he'll work. The level he will work, I don't know. But this idea that he's going to go to Golden State and just be reduced to this pile of basketball rubble. He's 23. He's talented. He's a playmaker. Steph works with everybody. Steph works with quiet guys. He worked with KD. He works with crazy Draymond. He works with everybody. So D'Angelo's going to work. So I would say I would take the over on Golden State at 47. I think they're closer to a 48, 49, 50-win team. I like Utah, but 52.5 wins in this league, folks, that's a lot of wins. That's a lot of road wins. That is a lot of road wins in the NBA. And I think the West is better than ever, so I'm selling everybody. I'm going to go today online and bet the under on everybody except Golden State and Portland. I'll bet the overs. Joy with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herdline News.
You know we love an anonymous GM quote.
Oh, I do.
Yes. Well, Klay Thompson is staying in the Bay. He and the Warriors agreed to a 5-year, $190 million max contract. But apparently some NBA personnel were left wondering if he warranted it. According to our own Rick Bucher, Minority owners with the Warriors floated the idea of seeing if Thompson might give the team a hometown discount, but abandoned it over fear he'd jump to the Clippers or the Lakers. His media shyness and stoic locker room presence also leave a few max salary boxes unchecked. Quote, he's a good player, but he's not a leader, a Western Conference GM says. He just shows up and hoops.
I don't see that as a criticism. He's the best number 2 player, arguably, since Scottie Pippen. Like, I don't understand that. I don't understand that.
I don't understand how this. Well, first of all, the idea that Klay Thompson would take a hometown discount for the Warriors is truly laughable.
No, you're not going to.
It's remarkably, astoundingly barren of self-awareness.
He's the 3rd best 2-way player in the league after Kawhi and Paul George.
Which
Klay
of
Thompson.
those banners are you hanging without him? I mean, absolutely not. Is he taking a hometown discount for what? Who?
Does everybody have to be? Now, I want my quarterback to have leadership qualities. No question. If you don't have them, I'm not drafting you. But couldn't I make the argument, Joy, that if I have a LeBron, a Magic, a Michael, a Kobe, I kind of like my 2 guy being a little Pippen? I don't want Charles Barkley and Jordan. They would butt heads.
You can't have too much of the same thing. So, yes, absolutely. That's not saying he's not a great teammate, that he's not a great player. And don't you sometimes just want a few great guys that just come and show up and hoop, that are no drama and aren't trying to be the star of the situation, don't need all the credit? It's the perfect formula. It's perfect. What do you always say? Don't try and be happier than happy. Like, you can't ask for a better situation than that. What do you mean he's not a leader?
You can make the argument. I think I've made this argument before. As great as LeBron is, you could probably argue there's teams that he wouldn't be a perfect fit with now, because the way, LeBron's offense is pretty much whatever LeBron does, that becomes your offense.
There's a lot of teams he wouldn't be.
He doesn't move without the ball. So, like in Golden State with Steph and Klay and Durant, he would not have been a good fit. Klay Thompson, I've argued this, is the only player in the league, that includes Harden, who fits on every team in the NBA. Everybody needs a 2-guard who doesn't need the ball. He's not ball-centric, who plays hard on both ends. And by the way, hoops, home, family, out.
Yeah, it's a remarkable comment. Well, sticking with that article from Rick Bucher, Kawhi was widely regarded as one of the best 2-way players in the league. He signed a 3-year, $103 million deal with the Clippers, which makes him eligible in 2 years for a supermax salary. Well, what do anonymous front office execs think about Kawhi? Well, one Western Conference general manager stopped short of describing him as a leader because of his Sphinx-like demeanor and his limited playmaking ability. There's not a question mark there, but I'm reading that with a question because it's weird. Kawhi is great at getting his, but he doesn't elevate anyone, the GM says. He doesn't rally his team.
He's not a great passer, though he's gotten better. That was the big knock on him